Okay, happy Thursday. We are talking about a passage in John that is pretty near and dear to my heart because I identify with it a whole heck of a lot. It's Peter's conversation still around the same dinner table with Jesus. We talked earlier this week about Judas and the betrayal and what that means for us. And now Jesus kind of focuses his attention on Peter and trying to get him to see a little aspect of what discipleship is really all about. So Jesus is talking to him. He's telling him, hey, I'm only going to be here for a little bit longer. And Peter's like, hold on, time out. Where are you going? Why can't I come? Like, I would die for you. And I'm so curious to know, what did Peter think Jesus meant? Like, where did he think that Jesus was going? In the ancient world, they thought of Jesus as a king. Did they think that Jesus was going to be arrested? Did they think that Jesus was going on a pilgrimage? And Peter would give his life, he says, to keep Jesus from having to go away. This is his Messiah. This is his closest, his rabbi, his teacher. He doesn't want him to go anywhere. And so he just makes this bold proclamation about what he's willing to do to keep Jesus right where he's at. And so he can be with Jesus. And I find this interesting because then Jesus says to him, it's the very famous phrase that we've all heard before if you kind of have grown up around church or even been in the sphere of church for a while. He says, very truly I tell you, this is the last line of chapter 13. Before the rooster crows, aka before the morning comes, you will disown me 3 times. So Peter thinks that he's bought and sold. He's in this. He's not going anywhere that Jesus isn't going, to the point where he will rather die than be separated from Jesus. And Jesus says, okay, it's great you think that, but the truth is you're about to deny me 3 times before this night is even done. And I identify that with that because I didn't really come to faith in Jesus for the first time until I was in high school. And my faith then was really more about who was around me at church. And so it didn't last very long. And I thought, you go through roller coaster waves of 1 minute you're on fire for Jesus and your whole life is built around Jesus. And the next minute something happens and you're not there anymore. And I have been through several periods of my life like that, from living for Jesus and going to church and being a part of a faith community to actually living the opposite. And what I find so comforting about this story is Jesus already knows that about Peter. And yet this story comes after the foot washing scene, and it comes after the meal has already begun. And so presumably Jesus is sharing this meal, this mark of hospitality with them. It would have been unseemly, unheard of, to break the hospitality rule in this culture. And so Jesus knows that Judas will betray him. He still invites him to the table. And at the same time, he knows that Peter is going to deny him. And yet Peter is still invited to the same table. I denied Jesus so many times. By the end, after I graduated college, I thought there is no world where Jesus wants anything to do with me. I've done too much. I've denied him too many times. He's sick of me is what I thought. And what this story reminds me is that that's just simply not true. Jesus knows what's in each of our hearts. He knows the things about us that make us who we are. He knows our past. I think he knows things about our future clearly. He knows what's in the heart of Peter. He knows what's in the heart of you and what's in the heart of me. And yet he doesn't keep us from the table. He invites us in to still be part of his closest community, to share in a meal with him. And he still washes our feet. He's still willing to serve us. And calls us to be part of the work that he is doing in the world. And it's that radical grace and mercy that will later change Peter's life. Peter will obviously go on to deny Jesus. We'll read about that here in a few weeks. But then how Peter's life gets transformed in the back end is just so incredible. And I've seen that to be true for my own life too. So I don't know where you are with this. I don't know if you resonate with this story at all, with Peter's experience, but I would just tell you, if you believe that Jesus wouldn't invite you to his table for whatever reason, whether it's Judas's betrayal of Jesus, right? You feel like you've betrayed Jesus in some way, shape, form, or fashion, or maybe you feel like you just deny Jesus, or you have tons of questions. You're not even sure if this faith thing is for you. What I hope you see in this story, in this whole chapter that we've been reading this week, is that Jesus saves a place at the table for you too. And he wants you to be part of this community of faith, even where you are right now. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to have reached the end of the finish line in discipleship and be this mirror image of Christ. No, all of that happens. The welcome invitation happens long before that time ever comes. And I, for one, am so grateful that that's true, because I don't think I'd be here today if it wasn't. Amen.